Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode 56, take 2, but we will get into that shortly. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with my good friend, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going, buddy?
I'm not bad, thank you. Just out of court. They knew me today as the accused. How are you?
That's really funny because when we did this episode yesterday, and I asked you how you doing, you were like absolutely shite.
I mean,
so things have picked up. This is good.
You know what it's like, man.
Yeah.
You just need to take it a day at a time. As I said to you yesterday, the best analogy for dealing with shit that I've heard in a while came from BoJack Horseman.
Yeah.
Right? You're in the woods and it's dark and it's scary, but the only way out is through.
Yep. When I get dealt a bad hand, and I'm constantly being dealt bad hands at the moment.
Yep.
I think the thing that sets you apart in life is not
whether you've got
complaining
coronavirus
about
or not.
not coronavirus. I think
Don't.
We avoided that story. It's not complaining about the hand that you're dealt, but dealing with it, like playing the hand out and doing the best with it. So
everybody knows the rules. Play the game.
Yeah,
that's the sad truth.
So I'm feeling 100 times better than I did yesterday. The story yesterday for those listening. Well, for those that follow me on YouTube, you probably will remember that I did a live stream just over a month ago, and at the end of it, I got a phone call saying my wife had been in a car crash, which was fun. That was fun to have to deal with. So we've been dealing with that, and that's obviously been mildly stressful. She's been driving my car. She needed a car to get to and from work. So, she was on her way to work yesterday and someone drove into the back of her. Again, twice. That's twice in 2 months. Yeah, so from destroying her car to destroying my car. But to be fair, I've seen the car and the car's absolutely fine. Somehow, my bomb-proof car, someone drove into the back of her at 25 miles an hour, and my car's fine. That's absolutely fine. So, there's a crack in the rear bumper, but so dealing with that. And then we came out here to do a podcast, came out here to record film. We were having such a great conversation. It was really, really good.
Yep. One of those ones where everything just went really well. And I think because we were both in bad but critical moods, everything was really analysed.
Yeah. I didn't really want to talk about some of the things that we were talking about. Because they're just so polarizing, and I don't necessarily want this podcast to always be that polarizing. But
that's why we're the Guitar Souls.
But no, it was going really good. But I have plasterers in my house at the moment, and they were plastering the dining room, and evidently some moisture got in a plug socket, and it tripped all of the electric in the house. So the podcast just stopped midway through recording.
Yeah.
Which, I'll be honest, that put me in an even worse mood than the car crash. For the rest of the day, I was absolutely raging about that.
Because it was a good hour or so, and as you said, we'll never capture the essence of that conversation again.
Yeah, so we've elected to not retread those conversations. We've elected to try and move on to other things. So we're just going to tease you with the idea of amazing conversations that took place that you'll never get to hear. So, yeah. Anyway, before we get going, we should probably say a big thank you to one of our sponsors, our main sponsor, our lovers and friends. Are they lovers? Let's go with lovers. Yeah, that would be... Yeah.
This would be Love Heart in case you can't see it with my big stupid hands.
So we're going to put an ad in here. Go. This show is brought to you by Ormsby Guitars. We want to thank Perry and the guys over at Ormsby for all of their support. It is very much appreciated. For those unfamiliar with Ormsby and what they do, they're wonderful guitars built by Perry out in Australia. And probably what they're most notable for in recent years is actually doing these runs of guitars that are actually built offshore and then brought into Australia for quality control and then sent on out. So if you head on over to ormsbyguitars.com and check out the pre-order section on their website, you can check out some of the upcoming runs, get involved for a very low price, and prepayment plans, payment over a series of months. Great way to get yourself a killer instrument and absolutely killer price. So as always, thank you so much for the support, guys. Check them out and let them know that we sent you. Anyway, on with the show. So a huge thank you to our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. I'm looking around for my hat, but evidently that's in the house. You were wearing a hat yesterday. I was wearing a hat yesterday. And,
we're fully repping.
Well, mine was more my hair and beard are getting so out of control. I often say to people that know me close, like, the best way to check how my mental health is going is how bad is my beard and how bad is my hair getting. And yesterday it was at peak badness. In fact, today I wanted to go and get my hair done, but then Mike's like, right, I can be over in half an hour, and I'm like, cool, I'll continue to look like an absolute hobo. So
I think you suit it. You don't suit that.
No. Nobody suits that.
It's just as well that you play country.
Yeah, good point. So we do have a ton of things to talk about. We found some new things to talk about today, and some of them quite serious, some of them entertaining. Is there actually much guitar-y stuff in here? It's all I'll tell you what. Why don't we start out with something funny? So we don't feel like we're just repeating the old episode. So I did a video just recently on Ozzy. I've done a lot of videos on Ozzy just recently, and it seems the mainstream media are doing exactly the same. They all want to talk about Ozzy because obviously his new album has come out, and
getting their fill.
It's absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Features our good friend Tom Morello on guitar on one track, and Slash plays guitar on a lot of it.
And Charlie Puth plays piano on it, as you said.
Charlie Puth plays on it, yeah, but I certainly didn't notice. You know what I mean? Like, there's no moments where I was like, but
let's be honest, even if you listen to the voice notes, the album I spoke about in the last podcast, you're not going to be like, well, that sounds like Charlie Puth on that keyboard. He doesn't do anything that's identifier.
Yeah. Well, that seemed like such a strange person to put on the record, though, because seeing the name, I was like, oh, wow, Charlie Puth plays keyboards on this album. Anybody could have played keyboards on the album.
But they didn't.
That is true. So, the mainstream media, as I say, are doing a metric shit ton of interviews with Ozzy just recently. Ozzy's doing the fucking Reddit AMAs and everything just to try and pimp this album out.
I think you'll find somebody else is doing that. Ozzy might be in the room.
Yeah, good point.
Every chance that there's not a single thing typed by Ozzy.
Yeah, and for the most part, like, none of it's really interested me because I'm not interested in new Ozzy. I'm interested in old Ozzy. But I really liked this. So Ozzy recalls the reaction to Steve Vai telling him that Black Sabbath's first album is out of tune. So for those that don't have a deep history of Ozzy, Steve Vai did actually play some stuff with Ozzy. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, so on the album Osmosis, Steve Vai plays guitar on the track My Little Man, which is a song about Jack Osbourne.
I thought it was about his Willie.
The second you hear that song, it opens with a chord, and it sounds like Ballerina. Sounds like Ballerina.
Right, I get you. That big sparkly octave over the top.
Yeah, exactly. So immediately you're just like, okay, this is Steve Vai. And I wasn't crazy on the overall sonic aesthetic of the song, but it's not a bad song. I do like the song. So obviously, Ozzy and Steve have worked with each other. But I enjoyed this. So during a conversation with NME, Ozzy looked back on a peculiar comment coming from Steve Vai regarding Black Sabbath's 1970 self-titled debut album. Ozzy reached the subject while discussing the matter of perfectionism in rock music. And he said, quote, Steve Vai once said to me, Black Sabbath's first album is out of tune. And I said, you know what, Steve? It still sells. So what the fuck do you want? Rock music is not supposed to sound perfect. If you want to hear perfect, go and watch a fucking symphony orchestra.
Tilt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely tilt.
Yeah. To be honest, this strikes me as, did this conversation ever really happen?
Who cares?
I just can't imagine. Like, Ozzy would have worked with Steve in the early 90s. Ozzy doesn't remember anything from the early 90s. Come on.
Well, who doesn't remember anything for the early hours of the day?
Yeah. There's one thing that has kind of bugged me. I remember years and years and years ago reading that Sharon Osbourne came out and said that she once slept with Randy Rhoads, cheated on Ozzy with Randy Rhoads, and that I remember it being shocking at the time. But then I looked into it, and it's like, oh, cool, you've got a book to promote. You just had to come out and say something shocking, and obviously a dead person can't defend themselves. Dead people can't defend themselves. I feel like I need to use that as a way to segue.
That's a good segue.
Shall I segue?
Fair.
Okay.
Yep. I was just going to say, like, you are so good at this without even meaning it.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk Rob Chapman. We'll talk about Rob Chapman after this.
Yes. So this one is...
I don't like this. This is one I really didn't want to talk about. But go on, give us the rundown.
We're both the same, to be honest, and I think you and I are roughly on the same page. So this seems to be more commonly reported. I'm sure it's happened since day dot, considering it's about money and lawyers, and well, we know that most of the time money and lawyers equals no morals. So not to say this is moralless. So sure. Pitchfork reported just recently on the 17th of February of last month, so maybe 2 weeks ago, Rick James posthumously sued for sexual assault of a minor in 1979. An anonymous woman filed an affidavit claiming the late singer raped her when she was just 15 years old. Such a difficult topic.
We're supposed to be a comedy podcast.
I know.
People take us super seriously sometimes, but we are only here to make people think and laugh.
True, but thinking is that one half of it. And my first thought when I read this headline is laughing at the the Charlie Murphy stuff from Dave Chappelle show, talking about Rick James and how much of a dick he was, and like, Rick James was a dick. He jumped on that couch and he slapped Charlie Murphy and blah blah blah. Just makes me think, like, I've no doubt, I know the stories are real, but I think he was capable of potentially this. But
there's absolutely no fucking doubt in my mind.
Who is to say it happened?
Yeah, 1979, super long time ago. Yeah, well, I guess this would have happened in the States. Is the age of consent in the States 18 or is it 16?
Regardless,
certainly over here it's 16.
Yes.
15 and 16 is a fine line to tread.
I think that's where the law and morals, like, kind of contradict. I just want to apologise to anybody watching. This is the most unfortunately buttoned shirt. At the bottom, it opens up no matter what I do, so you get a good view of my belly button and my belly here, regardless. And you know what? I'm comfortable with that. I'm chunky. I'm big. I'm here to be seen and cuddled. There's more to love. You just need to deal with it.
Someone please clip that and we'll...
People that are listening, they don't get to look at me. Just Google soft white gelatinous body and you'll get a picture of me lying mostly naked in balloons. There you go. More to love. I believe that on Reddit, when I went viral after the Bay Area Death Fest poster went up, and some crazy story about apparently Partican being anti-Semitic at a wedding was fabricated, I was championed as a bear in certain sexual circles. Yeah. So I'll take that.
I've received similar compliments after being featured in a lot of Sue's videos.
I think that helps that we had such a beautiful fan fiction written for us.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Let's go back. But I'm going to pull this back on topic.
Go for it.
Just because there was one last sentence I wanted to add to that last bit, which is not just that 15 and 16 is a tough line to distinguish because no one's asking for ID before sexual encounters. But also I think since 1979 the concept of consent has evolved so dramatically.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So this is a really difficult one. Now, I don't want to say Rick James is guilty, and I don't want to say Rick James is innocent. Right? I'm not a lawyer. You can get one of those T-shirts in the link below.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to sell. That's actually really poor taste. I'm trying to sell a T-shirt based on accusations of rape. So, but yeah, the reason I didn't want to talk about this is because initially when I looked at this, my gut instinct is, I don't like this. I don't like the idea of there being a trend of suddenly suing people, not prosecuting, not criminal charges, suing. This is civil. This is a civil suit. They're suing him, suing his estate for the sexual assault of a minor. I think, I know that a huge part of what law is about justice, right? When you're seeking justice, about getting what you deserve, making things right, balancing the scales, as it were. And in this instance, I think it's very important that you can defend yourself. It's super important in law that you can defend yourself. You should be able to face your accuser.
Well, I mean, the basic tenet, at least in the UK, is you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. But it's odd, isn't it? Because when it comes to rape, understandably, I'm not saying that gets thrown out the window, but we're a lot more cautious to immediately go for innocence until we're proven.
You're right. I think that's where a lot of men especially, knee-jerk and put themselves on the wrong side accidentally. That the first thing they go for is, oh, you would always accuse a man of being guilty. You know, like I've seen people make that comment of why you just assume that person's guilty. Or you can't just take their word for it, the victim, etc. And I find that a very fine line, a very grey area, because obviously I'm male and I have feelings towards it, but I think you should absolutely believe any accusation like that, but also treat it with critical rationale. And that's, again, where the grey area and the fine line comes in.
So I guess I'm ever so slightly different. I don't think you should believe any accusation like that. You should listen to any accusation like that.
You know what I mean? I meant treat it with respect and caution.
In this instance, it's like the best case scenario here for the alleged victim is money. Not like Rick James isn't gonna receive any punishment for if he's found to be guilty of the things that he's being accused of. He can face no punishment, and he can't defend himself. So it just, like, part of me wants to say it's super, super poor taste. This happened in 1979. There wasn't a better time to do this between now and then. It's just...
But that's maybe not the victim. That could well be the lawyers.
True.
And that's what I said to you before we started recording. It's probably happened since day dot, as we said, right?
Yeah.
But not been reported. And now it's getting to the point where one or two people have been posthumously sued or prosecuted in some way. And now it's becoming a thing where you see in the headlines where celebrities are being held to account for things they've done
Sure.
after they've passed away.
Yeah.
How much of that is solicitors digging and digging and digging? Because this woman's
Yeah.
anonymous. Like that, by any chance, could have been a solicitor going to them, I've found this out. Do you want to press charges? We don't have to name you, but you'll get money out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think that, like, look at the Harvey Weinstein situation. Like, he's serving time for his crimes.
Finally. I mean, let's be honest, it took over, 300 allegations and countless God knows what, and he's still, I mean, credit to him, he nearly won a fucking Oscar for playing a sick old invalid man. And then after the judge went, nah, I don't believe you, he pretty much skipped out the court. Piece of shit.
Yeah. And Cosby, you know, like, that's what I think. I think that these very high profile cases should hopefully give people a lot more confidence moving forward that we have a legal system that will do its best to cater for you. So let's not wait for people to pass away before you start fucking essentially this is defaming them. This is defaming Rick James. Without proof, this is defamation. And he, like I say, can't defend himself. Will never be able to wipe this away. People will always remember potential rapist. Apart from, obviously, I made a joke about this before on the show. Apart from Maynard from Tool, everyone forgets that there was accusations of rape levied against him. We just, if the band's big enough, we can just pretend it didn't happen.
He tapped into his parasympathetic nervous system and just imagined it didn't happen, and then everybody else got their mind erased. That's the power of his pineal gland. Yeah.
So let's move on from this to Rob Chapman.
Another piece of shit. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah. So
credit where credit's due. We spoke about this yesterday.
Yeah,
but you can.
I had to bring this up. It needed to be brought up just simply because people have been asking me on my live streams to comment on it, talk about it, and I said it was very much a Guitar Souls thing. It's the sort of thing you bring up on the Guitar Souls over doing it on a random stream where I'm talking about Ozzy Osbourne. Rob Chapman issued a big public apology, an actual apology, a very humble apology, and I'm supportive of that. I clap, well done, Rob. It was the right thing to do.
Yep.
You acknowledged that you did wrong. You did, I think, the hardest thing for someone to do in your position, which is acknowledged weakness. You, whether it was true or not, there's a whole discussion around that. You said that the reason you acted the way that you did is because you were scared. You were terrified. And I think that for someone in your position to admit that level of weakness is commendable, because people want to avoid that. Call it toxic masculinity if you like. Like, we want to play the big strong, like, I can handle myself thing. So I'm glad that Rob issued an apology. It's, as I said at the time when I made my video, and I've said it many times, I don't care. I have no fucking issue with Rob. I've obviously sat on the evidence of Rob doing that type of thing for 5 years, and people are like, well, why are you bringing it up now? Well, consistency in everything I've said is not been an issue. I don't fucking care. I can put that behind me and it's fine. But when I see him doing it again, and when I see him putting KDH, the young YouTube guy, in a position where Rob knew what was going to happen, he was going to send those people over to KDH's channel and do what happened.
And as you said, there was a smoking gun in the comment section.
Yes, I'll come on to that in a second. I just made my video because I wanted to try and stop that from happening. I wanted to try and stop that from happening by pointing out that, look, if you're a Rob Chapman fan, don't just buy into this. Rob does this type of thing sometimes. Nobody's fucking perfect, and he's just defending himself in the only way he knows how. Don't be his weapon in this scenario. But unfortunately, the unwashed masses, if you like, they were his weapon. They went over to his video, and that, I guess, that's the one issue I do take with Rob's apology. What he said in his apology is something along the lines of, I never should have made that comment. I never should have responded to that comment where a guy had accused KDH of rape. And I think he skipped over a really important thing when he did that. He skips over the fact that the fact he made that comment is, as you say, the smoking gun. It's the evidence that you went and watched it happen. You were there, watch it. Like, you had no reason to ever go and read any of the comments in that video. No reason whatsoever, because you said in your video, I'm not going to name the person. He's out there, but I'm just not going to name the person. it
He
should have
opened the
been
gates.
you release your video about the truth, your truth, I should say. Sorry, that's what you called it, your truth. You release that and then you let it go. But you didn't want to do that. You went over to his video because you knew what your fans were going to do. You watched them do it, and one comment was too juicy that you had to respond. And that comment was you being passive aggressive. That was you wanted KDH to know that you were watching, and you did that in multiple ways. You followed him on Instagram. Like, why would you do that? You have no interest in this kid. Kid's got fucking 30 or 40 followers on Instagram, and yet when this situation blew up and you posted your thing, you followed him on Instagram. Why would you do that? Because you wanted to watch this happen. And I don't think that Rob really acknowledged that. But, you know, is what it is. What do you think?
Well, I feel that Rob knew what he was doing at the time. He, as you said there, like, there's no reason to be on the comment section or following on Instagram unless you're happy to have. I think it was somewhere between a line of ignorant to know, like, of what was going to happen from his comments, to knowing what was going to happen but having plausible deniability of, I'll just put enough information out there and open the gates and let the hellhounds run free, and I can sit in my tower and watch and see what happens.
Yeah.
But as you say, made the mistake of getting in and leaving comments.
Yeah, that ruined that. That removed that plausible deniability.
Absolutely. So, as much as I respect that he's made an apology, I don't think that's making amends for the genuine concern and distraught that would have caused KDH.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out, I have a little bit of further information on this whole situation. Rob hasn't reached out to KDH in any way.
Obviously.
To personally apologise.
Of course.
Prior to Rob's apology video going up, like a good week prior to it going up, KDH reached out to Rob on social media and said, look, I just wanted to get in touch and see if we could build a bridge and talk about this and put the situation to bed type thing, because I don't think that the way that people are treating you is right. Rob's social media manager, because of course Rob can't deal with his own fucking Facebook messages or Twitter messages or whatever. He's a big deal, obviously.
All that internet power.
Yeah, unlimited. Phenomenal cosmic power. Itty bitty living space. His social media manager got back to KDH and said, thanks very much for reaching out. I know this will be of interest to Rob. I'll pass it on to him. You should expect to hear back from him within the next day or so. And it's now been weeks, and Rob didn't reach out.
See, that just
reinforces about the public
my point.
Apology.
Exactly, it reinforces my point. That credit where credit's due for making a public apology, but I don't think he did it for the right reasons based on that evidence.
Sure.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Rob's going to get back to him and say, I'm really sorry, I didn't want to take any time away from my family, as I don't like doing for videos, etc.
Yeah.
But I've sent you this message that took 30 seconds. I'm sorry that I fucking bayed the hellhounds on you. Don't see it happening.
And I think that would be really well received. Like, I'd have much more respect for that than doing it in public. Much more respect for that.
So, just out of curiosity, was this a video that he made, or was it a post?
It was a video. He made
I wonder if it's monetized. I'm serious. If it's monetized, then I totally do not believe the intentions behind it.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point, because I'd not really considered that, but actually, obviously, his My Truth video is his most popular video that he's uploaded in a very long time.
Of course it is.
Nobody's
Nobody's interested in him unless they're like going to find out what's happened.
Yeah.
And we all know that gossip in the music community does happen.
Yeah, which we'll talk about in a second. I have had some people reach out to me and say, look, the problem with Rob's video is he only made the apology because he was caught out.
Well, I made that comment when we spoke about it yesterday.
Yeah.
In the lost files. 56 Mark 1.
I my response to that is that, look, nobody's ever apologized when they haven't been caught out. That's why people apologize, because they've done something wrong. People find out about it and you apologize for the thing you've done wrong.
Not always. Some people do have integrity. Some people do something wrong and then...
No, we call that Catholic guilt.
Well, certainly in the west of Scotland.
Yeah. That is a thing for me. I think the only reason people apologise when they don't, when they haven't been found out for something, is because there's that feeling that somebody knows.
I don't know as much. I think it could be just as much integrity as well. Yeah. I'd like to think all of us have had moments of doing something, realising it wasn't the right thing to do, and then apologising.
Oh yeah, like
right.
Small things.
I'm just talking in general. Like, it doesn't matter the scale of it. I think maybe it's touching on Catholicism. Like, apologies, as long as they're sincere and they are for the right reasons, then generally speaking, they'll be well
Yeah.
well received. But anyway, doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
and that's how I wanted to kind of finish this little segment. Like, awesome. Rob issued an apology. I still maintain my position. I take no issue with Rob, and I hope that people can take that apology and let him get on with the thing that he wants to do. Let him keep making these videos, and if you like him, support him, and if you don't, don't. Simple as that. Like, he's not somebody to be chased. He's not somebody for us to rally round and chase down with pitchforks. If he does something stupid, I'm going to talk about it, but that's it. Just talk about it. There's no reason to go and harass the person. Let him do his fucking thing. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And to all of his fans, that love leaving the snide comments on all of my videos. In fact, why don't we use that? To all of his fans that like leaving their snide comments, Guitar World posted a story yesterday. Just
3 days
recently.
ago.
I kind of like this actually because mainstream media is very often really good at just, here's a thing that happened. Let us tell you that this thing happened. Whereas you see less of these kind of opinion pieces in journalism. And I think
Well, if you read the right papers or the right magazines, I think you get them.
Sure.
But I know what you mean when you say mainstream. Like, you don't ever get opinion pieces on the news.
Yeah, it's
or like,
nice to read people's opinions sometimes. And of course, these don't reflect the views of Guitar World. It's the writer. But yeah, I do like reading things like this from time to time. And I wish more places were doing more things like this. So
yes.
the byline is the biggest threat to guitar. It could well be guitarists. How online hate endangers the instrument that we love. Yeah.
I think the headline doesn't really quite encapsulate how we both feel, but the tagline is why we ended up with a culture of player haters. And Levi's clicked off. Sorry. Why we end up with a culture of player haters and what we can do to change it.
So give us a basic rundown. I'm just going to pull up something that I thought was fitting to this.
Essentially, it's an opinion piece on how we are all, at the moment, if not guilty, complicit, to this insular thinking when it comes to musicians and how it's now being viewed that skill equals competition and that anything that's outside of your realm of immediate ability is then up for fake, liar, sped up, harsh criticism, like as if everybody has it that if I'm not on the pedestal, then I need to knock the pedestal over.
Yep.
Not everybody,
sure.
But that seems to be the
echo
chamber.
That's a very
online.
succinct way of putting it. Like, yeah, if I'm not on the pedestal, I need to knock the pedestal over. I feel that the nuance that the article misses is that there's two reasons to knock the pedestal over, though. One is because you're jealous that you're not on the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
And one is because that pedestal that person's on isn't actually a pedestal. It's a cardboard box that they've put there.
Painted marble.
Yeah, and painted to look like marble. I feel there's a minor contradiction in the article, right? I agree with half of it and I disagree. I think he literally contradicts himself because he begins by talking about, obviously, the recent controversy around fake guitar playing. So he's talking about call-out culture. And that's a negative thing to put out into the community, right? That's his first point. And then he goes on to talk about comments on Facebook posts and videos and all of that shit, right? And that is absolutely a thing. I've made videos on that literally years ago, saying that we can be better than that. We don't need to be shit cunts like that. Like, if a huge problem with the guitar scene is that people put themselves in this position where they are too intimidated to post a video. It was my Stevie T video when I was ripping into Stevie T, because you'll post a video out there and then some arsehole like Stevie T will see that and go, cool, I can make fun of this person to my 3.5 million subscribers. I'll make a load of money, but then most importantly, my 3.5 million subscribers will then go, I see. So when I see someone playing and it's not very good, it's funny for me to then abuse them in the comment section of their videos. Yeah. So I've got a post here. This was posted in Guitar Boomer posting.
Ironically.
And yeah, totally got it wrong. Totally missed the point, I think. So a guy by the name of Daniel, I won't give his surname, posted the Guitar World article on Facebook, and they're trying to laugh at him for being a boomer, but actually a lot of people agree with him because he's posted the comment, "This article is so true. Half of my issue with playing live or posting my playing on Facebook or other media is the ridicule that I am sure to get because I'm not the greatest guitar player. I think if there was more encouragement for beginners or intermediate players to share their playing, there would be many more people picking up the guitar." And Daniel isn't alone in that thought, right?
I think he's right.
I've dealt with hundreds of people in my life, met hundreds of people in my life that are absolutely in that position. They will not post themselves online because they can't take the abuse that they could get, right? And here's the thing. I think that a lot of that abuse, I think the reason a lot of that kind of fosters is because of this competitive element that we live in,
Yes.
where we have a hierarchy of who's the best, right? So in my video where I'm calling out Lucas Mann, or a video where I'm taking issue of Rob Chapman, the amount of people that in their abuse to me comment on, if you were doing X rather than this, maybe you'd be a better guitar player, or you're a mediocre guitar player. They want to attack my guitar playing. And it's like, right, first of all, good fucking luck. I am so unbelievably okay with my guitar playing. You cannot make me feel bad about my playing. Because I'm at that age now where I'm confident in who I am as a player.
Not only are you a versatile guitarist, and neither of us are the best at anything we do.
Absolutely.
But you have enough critical rationale and experience under your belt to know that genuine comments to help you learn better or do better or master a technique don't come in the form of if you were doing X or Y. And
yeah.
Maybe you're the same as me. I find it really easy to discard that kind of mentality towards my playing. I'll take genuine criticism, no problem. I will take comments on my playing, no problem. But generally speaking, if someone just wants to try and shit on me, I'll just slag them back. Like, all right,
well,
cool,
yeah, I engage in that, and I love that back and forth that I have with people. But you're just never going to make me feel bad about I've been that person that's felt bad about my playing.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, it was when I was in that shred game and I was trying to push the boundaries of what I was capable and to keep up with the rat race, if you like.
Yep. If you're not the cleanest playing 16th notes at 230 BPM, then you're weak, bro.
Yeah. And then I remembered that actually, although I love all of that stuff, I also love Joe Pass. And I made a post that was perceived to be arrogant many years ago where I said the more I study guitar, the better I get at guitar, the cleaner I get and the faster I get, the more articulate I get and the more complicated my lines become, etc., the further I move away from my initial goal, which was to play like Joe Pass. And when I listen to Joe Pass now, like, it's full of clams and mistakes. He's playing is like it's all over the place, right? But it's uniquely him. And when I heard that, it was at that point I started to really understand that Joe Pass was the best Joe Pass that exists. No one will ever be Joe Pass like Joe Pass. There are guys that do the same sort of thing and they do it cleaner and faster and more complicated, etc. They don't sound like Joe. I'm not going to criticize them. They sound like them, and that's cool. So I'm already the best me. So you're never going to be able to pull me down for that. Never. It's not going to fucking happen. I am so unbelievably confident in my own playing ability. And yeah, sure, there are plenty of things on the guitar that I cannot do.
Same.
Plenty of things on the guitar that I cannot do.
So many.
And I don't feel the need to chase any of them. But consider this. When you come at me and attack me for the things that your heroes can do that I cannot do, what are you achieving by that? Because I can easily turn around and point out 100 things that your heroes can't do that I can do. There's no better. That we're not. Music isn't a fucking competition. There's no competition necessary, right? We are artists. We express ourselves. We put things out into the world that people listen to and hopefully enjoy or don't enjoy. Like, that's just as valid. And there's more to that than how fast or clean can someone play. But that is a mentality that has fucking polluted the guitar world, the guitar scene, more so than anything. And I think a huge part of that is the competitions. That you don't see this in the saxophone world.
No, you
companies endlessly doing competitions in order to jam over this backing track and the winner will get this. That's a uniquely guitar thing. Maybe not uniquely, but it's very, very prominent in the guitar scene. And the whole fake guitar thing, and this just comes back to the kicking over the pedestal that's not really a pedestal, is because of that competitive element, because of the things that people need to do in order to stand above the crowd, if you like. Mm-hmm. There's this sort of arms race, if you like, to be the best. And if that means that you need to mislead a little bit in order to get there, in order to do those things, in order to win that competition, in order to get that praise, what you're doing is you're falsely elevating people's perception of where they should be to be considered a good player. Like this David guy, who knows, right? He might play like Eric Clapton. He might play like Joe Pass. He might play and be indistinguishable from Joe Pass, right? And then he might enter a competition playing like Joe Pass and be told not be told you're garbage, but not even be considered for the competition because you're not this guy who won the competition. And that
you're not playing 8-string sweeps.
Yeah, that's inevitably going to put him in a position, regardless of how good he is, of feeling I'm not good enough. But not only does it tell him or subconsciously tell him that I'm not good enough, but it tells everybody else in the community, everybody that has seen the competition, that see this guy, he wasn't good enough. And we can objectively look at the people that won the competitions and say, if you're not better than those guys, then you're not good enough. And that, I think, is where all of these comments on videos come from. Because it's like, yeah, you can criticize this person because they could be better. But you know what? You could be fucking better.
Yep.
Stop going out and fucking making fun of people because of the way they play guitar.
The same people that are commenting, if you were doing X instead of doing this, could easily be away practicing themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely true. I could spend more time practicing, right? But I'm glad I don't
practice anywhere near enough either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's really any guitarist out there that doesn't think to themselves, I should practice more.
Yeah.
Even the most practiced guys could practice more, and that's just their choice. But where's the fun in endlessly practicing? Like, I took up guitar because I wanted to learn a skill, but I wanted to have fun. And it's not fun sitting for 10 hours going 1 0 1 2 3 4 0 1.
For you.
Some people might. Fair
When
credit.
I was a kid, loved that.
Oh,
that was the appeal to me.
I loved sitting, learning tabs, whether they were right or wrong, and trying to correct them in my brain, or learning things by ear.
Yeah.
And just getting to know it and like getting the feel for things and getting the feel for like Guitarist, for example. I was really into Cacophony when I was younger.
Good taste.
Marty Friedman, just all those weird bends. It's just like half steps everywhere into the right note, and that's really cool and like not strange phrasing, but unusual for guitarists at that point, and being like, cool, this is really good, as well as the shred aspect. But what caught me about a lot of Cacophony, not all of it, because some of it is just mindless shred, is the musicality of it. It's the right side of neoclassical.
Yep.
It's not just minor.
Well, the perfect example of that for me is like somebody's asked me to transcribe Concerto.
Right?
Yes! And it's a cool tune, right? But actually, when I was younger, I thought that was the coolest thing that there could be. But on reflection, now when I listen to that, I think that's one of their weakest things.
What's your favourite?
When you compare it to something like The Ninja, or Desert Island.
Desert Island, I was just going to say that's the best.
You know what's terrible? Savage, like these songs, these ones, they all have. Concerto is very by the numbers,
It's a concerto.
Yeah, and it grabbed me as a kid, but now, like
Speed Metal Symphony.
I get the Speed Metal Symphony is kind of in the middle of the two. It's got a lot of bits that are very by the numbers, classical, but then it has some moments that are really fucking cool.
I just like the way it plays between the two guitars.
Yeah,
I know we're getting off topic here, but
just getting super excited about Cacophony. So, so to the guy that wrote this article, you have to. I feel that you need to understand that the takedown videos, the call out culture, the only reason that's the same as what you're doing here. Those videos have never been made. I've never been trying to knock people off a pedestal. It's never been about me trying to take their place. I'm envious of where they are, and I know it's the same with other people. It's doing exactly what you're doing here, which is trying to encourage the community as a whole, and the wider community, to be able to look at videos like this and not have your confidence knocked when people are willing to misrepresent themselves. Guys like this David, or the endless amount of people that will not upload videos because someone said some mean things about them once. Like when I was criticising Stevie T for making fun of Emmanuel Aguila, the guy that does the alien shred fingers.
Hello, brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Hugs, brothers.
Exactly.
I like Emmanuel.
He
has a relentless positivity online, and I think that riles a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And I fucking love it.
I absolutely love it too.
Hugs, brother.
Yeah. Emmanuel took it really well, right? Because I think that's what Emmanuel's always wanted to do. Emmanuel, I know that he absolutely loves people losing their mind over his videos.
It's just engagement, isn't it?
Yeah. That's where he's getting his enjoyment, and I'm
clever.
super, super fucking supportive of that, right?
Clever.
But we talked about this guy in the show previously, Richard Benson.
Yes.
Stevie T also made a video making fun of Richard Benson.
A man who was disabled.
A man who was disabled. A man that tried to kill himself, right? Let me be clear, not because of Stevie T's video, but let's not pretend for a second that the fact that he has been relentlessly abused by by the music listening public, like going to gigs and throwing fruit and rotten
veg and stuff
like
at him.
just throwing stuff at him, and just him being a punchline and making fun of him. This isn't something that Richard enjoys, okay, but he craves the attention and the success so much that he's clearly more willing, his brain is more willing to allow him to be ridiculed and to be known than to fade into nothingness. I don't think for a second that that culture of doing that to him didn't contribute to this guy trying to kill himself. Sure, he was also in a lot of pain for his disabilities, but yeah, I just think we can all be better than that.
It just reminds me of... No, it doesn't, sorry, never mind. I was going to say, it reminds me of the South Park episode talking about Britney Spears, where it's just constantly focusing on all these things they can criticise about them rather than the glaring faults.
Yeah.
You can see there's something wrong with somebody, but everything's about everything else that's just pulling them down. It's not quite the same thing, but...
So, in summary, it's okay to be a guitar soul, but try not to be an arsehole.
Aye, like, if you want to criticise something and you're using critical rationale, wire in. If you're just out to be a dickhead and try and knock somebody's confidence, or, I don't know, prove to yourself and a couple of other people that you deserve a pat in the back because you're better than them, what you say about this thing, fuck off. Like, geese peace. Just, geese peace meaning shut up.
Yeah, give me peace.
Exactly, just fuck off.
Give me some peace and quiet. I'll be clear, I don't think these people should be stopped. I've seen a lot just recently, people talking about the idea that you should have to register and provide ID to be on social media. Like, that's just a ridiculous notion, absolutely ridiculous notion. But this is part of what comes with being online. And for the people that have received abuse, I think it's important to learn that comes and not to let it bother you. Because these people's opinions mean nothing. They literally mean absolutely nothing. It's the old Rob Chapman thing again, right? Rob, stop being so annoyed of the fact that I don't like you. There are so many people out there that really, really do love you. They love everything about you, and they will follow you to the ends of the earth, and they'll give you money until the day you die.
And they're allowed to be wrong.
Give them your attention. I don't matter. I'll spend a lot more time giving my attention to my wonderful supporters on Patreon and all of these people that have bought my books and everything. They mean so much more to me than someone calling me a mediocre guitar player in comparison to Rob Chapman. Like, awesome, right, fine, yeah. Guitar Vivo, the Guitar Summit, London Guitar Summit. Yeah, come and see me, Tom Quayle, Jack Gardner, Martin Miller, Jens Larsen, Sean Baxter.
Are you going to get a photo next to Tom
I'll
Quayle?
get a photo next to Tom Quayle, yeah, of course. Come and see all of us fucking mediocre guitar players. Legend has it that Rob was, but actually, I'll tell a complete lie. I was going to say legend has it that Rob was booked for that, or we wanted to try and book Rob, but obviously we're too small time. Luke actually wanted to do the absolute opposite. He wanted to do the Katie Hopkins thing.
Oh,
he wanted
no.
to bring Rob in for an award and for everyone to just make fun of him.
But see, that's just this.
Yes, yeah, and ultimately the idea was funnier than the execution of the idea. Yeah. So
that's it. Like, wouldn't it be funny if we did that? But also, no.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. So, seeing as we've talked to Rob Chapman, we should probably go down continue down the other route of things that constantly keep fucking coming up on this show. Constantly keep coming up on this show.
That's it.
TTM Guitars.
Just tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
So, I decided I was going to have a look round. Actually, this came from, I believe, an advert I saw online. Everybody's familiar with AliExpress.
You spend a lot of time on those sites, don't you?
I don't actually.
You're fascinated by them.
That's the weird thing. I don't actually. Okay. But anytime I go on, I find something where I'm like, right. All right. So I had a look. DH gates more towards, like, as far as I know, electronics. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was having a wee look and I was like, an advert popped up and it was a copy of Jared Dines' 18-string guitar.
Yep.
So I sent it to not only Perry, but Levi, and I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Now, they had made a lot of effort to make it look the same.
I kind of wanted to order one.
But, I mean, it was just, it was not great.
No.
Even the inlay was terrible. Anyway,
to be fair, the original was terrible.
Poor Jared. So,
it feels bad because, like, Jared's a nice guy, and obviously I like Perry a lot as well, but I still have to look at that guitar and go, get it in the bin. What were you thinking?
Yeah, that's way more function over form, isn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
That's all right. So that sent me down the rabbit hole, and very often I look on there, and I always have it in mind, like, I know that the factory that built the TTM guitars definitely sold guitars through AliExpress and Wish, etc. Because I remember seeing them advertised on there for like $150. So, given the recent furore and everything that's going on with Big Lancy Boy, wherever he's running away to these days.
Well, yes, I'm going to just interject there for the update on TTM. Absolutely fucking nothing. Not a fucking peep in weeks.
It's funny that.
Yeah, disappeared. Doing his best to disappear off the face of the earth.
Yep.
So I will update people when I have anything to report on his legal troubles. But the TTM brand has disappeared.
Obviously. As we know, it did months ago legally. Yeah. Anyway, I am more curious than desperate to get a hold of a TTM, whether that be a guitar from the same factory without the logo or one that's been sent to someone. I'm sure Levi has that same interest in just having a look and seeing exactly where we stand, right? So I've had a look through, seen a few of them on eBay and Reverb and blah, 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 but people are still asking silly money, which led me to this. I decided to Google for TTM and just check, because I'd seen them on eBay. This was even 10 years ago, because I remember asking you before your first video, are you aware of this brand? And I said to you, yeah, I've seen the guitars.
Yeah.
And they reminded me of the, is it Desert Palm or Palm Beach guitars?
No idea.
US made,
right.
Looks exactly the same as these. Probably not US made. Very similar in terms of logo and stuff. Anyway, not to besmirch another brand without any actual evidence. I came across this beauty, the TTM Devastator in quilted blue. Beautiful, and when I say beautiful, I mean horrible maple fretboard. This is a made in USA according to the headstock TTM. Now it has their own pickups. As you'll see if you're looking at the string spacing on the two high strings, they're a bit tight, so the trem's obviously not sitting right. Look at that heel. PRS would be fucking proud. Obviously, just the
it's still got the plastic on the.
Oh, this is brand new.
No, this is a 2009. This is a 2009, mate.
I thought it was brand new stock. No? Okay, well, I mean,
it may well be.
New old stock, 11 years old, right? Cracking binding, beautiful paint. Look at those machine heads, definitely real Grovers. The question is, how much is it being asked? How much is somebody wanting for it?
This was manufactured in 2009.
You're right, sorry, right. So 11 years old, this is sat in a box or in a room.
Well, I think the key thing is it's worth pointing out that as we know, this is a fact, this isn't opinion. As we know, there is no such thing as a USA-built TTM guitar, certainly not built in 2009.
No, there was 6 USA built that didn't function as guitars.
Yeah, so there were, you're absolutely right. There were 6 built in, 2018, maybe?
Yeah, for now, that's right.
6 of them, and they were unplayable, okay? USA-built ones. Outside of that, every single TTM guitar that exists was manufactured in China. The parts were manufactured in China. They were then sent over to America, and Lance would put them together. In this particular instance, though, this isn't a bolt-on neck. Nope. So let's not pretend that this wasn't assembled in China, right? The hardware is Chinese. Everything about this guitar is Chinese. And I think that it's amazing that they were never sued by some sort of government agency for the fact that on their headstock it says USA. It says
built in USA.
Yeah, USA custom built. Right? These guitars were never ever made in the United States of America. Okay, but unfortunately, the person that has got hold of this guitar and is selling it on eBay, well, they don't believe that.
Well,
they believe it's a USA-built guitar, and they've advertised it as TTM Super Shop USA Custom-Built Devastator Series 2009 electric guitar. I want to draw attention to this YouTuber because this eBayer, because I reached out to them. I have contacted them, and I have explained to them the situation and let them know that their guitar was not manufactured in the USA, and it's worth peanuts, maybe $300. Maybe $300. It's an imported Chinese guitar, and that needed to be brought to their attention so they could correct their listing. Okay, they got back to me and said, "Thanks very much for your info. I'll look into it." And that was weeks ago. It's still up. He has done absolutely nothing about it. So if anyone wants to go and check out Japan Treasures on eBay, maybe have a look through everything they have for sale, because there could be these guys could be deliberately doing some fishy shit. deliberately, because they've been informed. This is deliberate at this stage. They are trying to rip someone off here. This is false advertising. You'll notice that this guitar doesn't accept returns. So if you buy this, you're stung for it. So to answer your question, how much is it being sold for, Mike?
Should we just show, and then I'll reveal it once you've got it on the screen? $1,563 US. In pounds, £1,219.38.
Yes.
Obviously, there's free international shipping. Obviously.
Yeah, so you can see that I have contacted the seller.
That's probably more than Lance charged.
Yeah.
And that is mental. Mental. Like,
Yeah.
what
When I
the
visit
fuck?
their store, it says they don't have anything, but obviously they do because
Show and press
guitar
that and
exists.
see what that does. I don't know.
No, I'll just go. I'll click their actual page.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, let's. So there's a. Oh, there's no
So that's
items for
interesting.
sale. It must have been
That's
taken
odd.
down.
I mean, it's still here. Still, I could click buy now on it.
Refresh that and see what happens. Tell you what to do. Go in and search for it and see if it's been sold. Oh, sorry, this is listed as used, not new. Condition used.
Right.
So this person thinks this is worth the best part of £1,200 for a used, not American-made guitar. So it's been taken down then.
Well, I mean, you say that, but
You can't make listings private on eBay.
the auction's there. I could buy this right now. I can assure you, I am not going to.
Thank fuck.
Well, the fact that they have literally nothing for sale would lead me to suggest that maybe you should be keeping an eye out for this seller.
Have they blocked you?
I don't know.
Can that happen on eBay? Let's look.
Absolutely no idea.
Super.
Absolutely no idea.
Because it was me that brought this to your attention, obviously.
It was, yeah.
All categories. Sorry, I'm just very quickly going through eBay to see if I can find this. No, sure enough, it's not there. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if it's been sold or completed as an auction. No, nothing.
I mean, it's there. I could buy it.
It's been taken down.
Again, it's there. I can buy it.
For new searches,
Yeah,
certainly.
okay.
Maybe it's a glitch in eBay's system. Maybe it's a
Okay.
glitch in the matrix. Who knows? But
Yeah, keep your eyes out because, when I reached out to this guy, I didn't think he was doing anything malicious. I didn't think that he was trying to rip people off. I think that he's obviously bought this guitar secondhand and is now trying to move it on. And he's looked at it and it says, oh, it's USA built. And he's advertising it as USA built. And this is why everything Lance is doing was fucking criminal. This is why it was a fucking scam. Because what you've done there is that's illegal. You cannot put on your guitar made in the USA when it wasn't made in the USA.
it's exactly the same as putting the Gibson logo on, not a Gibson.
Yeah, well, not quite, but similar.
Well, it's
It's
still
not a trademark
misrepresentation.
infringement. Yeah, it's misrepresentation, but it's not a trademark
It's
infringement.
mis-selling. That's the way I
Yeah.
see it. Anyway,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
pretty shitty. So fortunately, Lance is still under his fucking rock, and hopefully he never crawls out from it.
And hopefully no one buys that TTM because that would be £1,200 wasted very quickly.
Yes, you are never going to see that again.
Not a single fucking penny.
On the note of Gibson, Gibson's CEO says the company is bringing Kramer guitars back, aiming to become the most relevant brand again. What do you mean the most relevant brand again?
They had one model that was well known.
Yeah, but whether at any point was Kramer the most relevant brand?
No, obviously not. All I'm saying is they had one model
Yeah.
that people maybe had an interest knowing. And even then you can pick them up for a couple of £100.
Yeah. So good luck to you, Gibson. I mean, they are doing something currently decent, aren't they? There's the Tornadoes in Nashville, and they are
Donating guitars to anyone
donating
who's
guitars
lost
to people that
instruments.
have lost guitars.
That's good. Credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully they're being like for like replaced and people are getting actual good guitars and not the fucking Shanners.
Oh no, I think they are going to be like for like replaced. I think the guitar that Gibson give you is going to be just about as playable as whatever your guitar, wherever it is after the Tornado, has.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, enough critical cynicism.
I love being cynical. That's what we do. I'm
know
a
you
guitar
do.
soul.
True, very true. So, yep, as ever, fuck Gibson, except in this circumstance, a wee pat in the back. It's good of you to give people guitars.
Good
That's
of you to
great,
give people guitars. Nice PR opportunity. It's a Chapman thing to do, isn't it? Oh, I give so many guitars away to orphanages.
If only they hadn't run over all of those guitars with those fucking diggers.
Yeah. Such a good point. Yeah, absolutely astonishing. Also, it's like, you know, people that have had everything in their lives taken away from them, destroyed. Their homes are gone. They've got nothing, nowhere to live, no roof over their head. Right? You know what they need? Guitars.
A Les Paul Studio.
Yeah. Can I eat this? Like,
Is this the Billy Joel one? Because I don't want it if it is.
yeah. Okay, so very much in line with our "I'm not a lawyer" thing. This was super, super interesting, and I'm annoyed that we didn't get to do this this story. I'm annoyed we didn't get to record this best part of a week ago, a few days ago, because we saw this way before it was being posted by all of the newspapers. We weren't ever going to be breaking news on this, but we certainly were going to beat all of the mainstream metal press to this one, as reported initially in, where is it? Business Wire, as reported by Business Wire, and then on finance.yahoo. That was where this initially came out, because these are the types of places that keep up to date with lawsuits that are happening. Journey. Do you like Journey?
Don't Stop Believing's a good song. That's about as far into the lore as I go. Actually, Rick Beato's video on Don't Stop Believing's tremendous. And I think the reason I like it as much, although I'm sick of hearing it, because I used to hear it every single Friday and Saturday night in the pub, repeatedly, is watching the end of Sopranos. Have you seen The Sopranos?
Yep.
The very last scene.
Yep.
Sopranos is playing.
Yep.
Clever.
I've seen Journey live. I saw Journey live.
My condolences.
They were pretty good.
I can imagine.
Pretty good, to be fair. It was right when Arnel Pineda had joined the band. He is Filipino, I believe, which meant that 40% of the people that were at the gig were Filipinos.
Okay.
Because that's a huge, huge win for the Filipino community. Oh my God, there's a famous Filipino playing in this band. We must support them.
Cool.
It was nice to see. It was really nice to see.
Like
nice. It was his first tour with the band, and they were out in force with their flags and everything. It was it was cool, and it was honestly it was a pretty good gig. But I've certainly never been a big Journey fan. Growing up, I had a friend that was like absolutely obsessed with Journey, which is odd living in the UK.
Yeah,
like, they're massively popular in the States, but this guy had like 4 Journey tattoos up his entire leg.
Jesus Christ.
Album artwork and everything. Like, he was a huge Journey fan. But the story is that Journey have recently fired. Let me read the story. So, Journey's Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain have put recent tensions behind them to launch an extraordinary lawsuit against fellow band members Steve Smith and Ross Valerie. Steve Smith and Valerie have been fired effective immediately. So, and Steve Perry, the band's old singer, has sided with Smith and Valoy in this situation. It seems that what had happened is that Smith and Valerie have been accused of attempting to take control of the band's business entity, Nightmare Productions, to guarantee a better payday after their retirement. Super, super interesting. Super interesting. I
quite like that summary. You want me to read it?
Yeah, go for it.
The defendants attempted to launch an ill-conceived corporate coup d'etat to assume control of Nightmare Productions because they incorrectly believe that Nightmare Productions controls the Journey name and mark. They hope that, by taking over Nightmare Productions, they can hold the Journey name hostage and set themselves up with a guaranteed income stream after they stop performing. Smith and Valerie began their campaign to take control of Nightmare Productions in December 2019 by conspiring to oust Sean and Cain from control.
Yeah. And another official response is, Dear Mr. Smith and Mr. Valerie, Valori, maybe? I don't know. This firm is counsel for Jonathan Cain and Neil Schon. Mr. Schon and Mr. Cain are the remaining principal members of the band Journey. Unfortunately, your recent actions, in concert with others, have demonstrated that you are no longer acting in the best interests of the band, as set forth in the complaint filed today in the Superior Court of Contra Costa County, California. You both participated in a scheme to take over one of the band's entities, Nightmare Productions, Inc., in breach of your fiduciary obligations. You did so to enrich yourselves at the expense of our clients and to the detriment of the band. Our clients have lost all confidence in you and are not willing to perform with you. Mr. Sean and Mr. Kane, through Elmo Partners, hold the sole exclusive
Irrevocable.
irrevocable. There we go.
It's hard when you get in the middle of a sentence and a big word hits you and you're like, I know this word, but my brain doesn't want to know it.
Irrevocable license to the Journey name and all associated rights, hence known as the Journey mark. Specifically pursuant to the trademark license agreement dated January 15, 1985, Nightmare Productions. So evidently Nightmare Productions is involved in the trademark of Journey, but okay. Provided this license to Elmo Partners, the agreement provides that the license shall continue, unquote, until the date upon which none of Stephen Perry, Neil Schon, or Jonathan Kane is an active, engaged, and professional music career utilising the name Journey. I fucked all that up, but that's fine. Mr. Schon and Mr. Kane shall continue to pursue their musical careers under the name Journey. Elmo Partners therefore retains and will continue to hold the exclusive, irrevocable, I went to do it again there, I know, license to the Journey mark. Pursuant to the agreement between Elmo Partners, Mr. Schon and Mr. Kane control the Journey mark. Mr. Schon and Mr. Kane, this is embarrassing.
Mr. Schon and Mr. Kane.
Mr. Kane are expressly authorised to perform together under the Journey mark with or without anyone else. You have absolutely no rights to the Journey mark and are not authorised to use the Journey mark in any way effective immediately. You are no longer members of the band Journey and cannot perform under the name Journey. If you act in contravention to our clients' rights, please be advised that we will take all legal steps to protect the rights of our clients. Nothing contained herein is intended to waive any of the rights of Mr. Kane and Mr. Schon, and all such rights and remedies are expressly reserved.
Just start a band called Trip.
It's madness.
Keep believing. Yeah, that's madness. There's not one person involved in this article, at least. I've not done too much digging. Provided any evidence there's been any.
Well, okay, so there is a link to the actual lawsuit.
Right.
And I intended to go through and read this in great depth. I will bring it up on screen just so people know it's there. I'm not going to read it.
I'm not used to seeing
it's
these.
63 pages. You don't want to read for 65 pages.
Oh, of course, I'm just saying that I'm not used to seeing this without Lance Benedict's name on the front page.
This is fascinating, and I love stuff like this. I'm okay reading things like this. I can follow along with things like this, but generally speaking, I'm waiting for one of the lawyers that I follow on YouTube to pick up on this and to go through this and to give their thoughts on it and give their basic rundown of things, because I've talked about watching a lot of lawyers on YouTube. Super interesting. Really interested to see where it goes. I mean, I don't think that the guys have got any sort of recourse for being fired from the band. They have been fired, and that is the way it is. I would be very interested to get a little bit more, to hear the other side, if you like, of exactly how and why they were taking control of Nightmare Productions.
Mm-hmm.
They can't have been like, it was called a corporate coup d'etat, right? Like, I'm sure they weren't running in with rifles and saying, this is ours now. Like, what are there shares?
I just love the idea it's like corporate espionage. Like, you're four members of a band, some original, some not. Like, it's not fucking Exxon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not Texaco. Fuck me.
Having said that, big business. Journey is big business.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Can't really deny it. There's some bands out there that, I mean, it doesn't matter any other song that Journey have wrote or performed. Let's be honest, Don't Stop Believing is their paycheck.
It's going to keep them in the money, yeah.
It's the same as like Noddy Holder for Slade. Like fucking Merry Christmas.
We talked about those last episode, didn't we?
Hmm?
We talked about them last episode.
We did. Like, but we all know that their payday is literally just that fucking Christmas song. Like, every fucking year, that's like, there's my year's wages. Thanks.
Yeah. And in a recent episode, we talked about, I can't even remember who it was, but one of the guys that did the songs that Metallica covered on Garage Inc.
Diamond Head.
Yes. Yeah, it was Diamond Head. Of course it was.
No, was that My Evil on there?
Maybe.
I think it was before then.
Okay, I just made an assumption there, to be fair. But him saying that is still his main paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Metallica played one of his songs.
It could have been Diamond Head, because remember I told the story about me and Blaney insulting Diamond Head?
Yeah.
I do feel bad about that. It was just one of those like young asshole comments, and I went, that was a bit unnice. Maybe a bit too much. That was me trying to knock him off his pedestal.
Yeah, shouldn't do that, mate. You're destroying the guitar community.
But see that, just to go back to that, I think questionable practice without criticism would sooner destroy the music community than the odd false accusation that can be disproven of, like, for example, faking a video. I think to blindly accept everything as being true is just going to ruin, most importantly, young, aspiring, starting guitarists from actually putting the effort in, because what they're seeing and what they're hearing are unachievable. Like,
yeah.
That's my take on it.
And well, here's the annoying thing on that front, and we've kind of gone back to the subject now, but the annoying thing on that front is ignorant fans of people that play like that don't know, they don't understand, they don't have experience in the production of music and what's possible in terms of editing. They don't hear things like this and know that it's fake. I was going at it in the comment section of one of my videos with a guy about the Lucas Mann thing. He's like, Lucas has never mimed, he's got no reason to mime. And I sent him that classic video of him doing the demo, his solo project demo. And there's so much of that that's clearly MIDI. What?
Him and Charles Caswell.
No, he had a solo project from years and years ago.
All right.
It's like 9 years old. He's got a skinhead in it, and
even when you watch the videos of him playing recently, when he's playing in his bedroom with that 8-string leg guitar, not plugged in, with his head banging through chugs, and it's like the cleanest recording you've ever heard.
No. So
let's be fucking honest. Not true.
I'm literally going to play it so everyone can hear it.
Okay.
Because it's that funny. It really is that funny. Yeah. So there's this moment in this recording that is so obviously not real. But I'm dealing with an ignorant fan. I have no idea how old this person just doesn't know any better. And when I say to him, hang on a second, let me listen to this clip. Are you telling me that you think that's played? And then they come back with, why wouldn't it be? That's the point. That's this unrealistic expectation that's been put on these people where they're fed bullshit to the point that they believe it.
Blind faith, isn't it? It's disconcerting, because you're not... When I engage in these conversations, my point isn't, I know better than you, this person's shit compared to me. It's, use a bit of critical rationale and you'll understand what's achievable from you and what's not.
Ready for this? Ready for this absolute fucking shit show? Should probably turn the mic up. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just hear that one more time.
It's crazy how that note continued after he wasn't playing it.
It's not guitar. It's the same, like,
it's
just before he goes
MIDI.
into that. He pick taps. How are you getting that vibrato there that lowers? It's going, boo, it's lowering, right? And he's not doing that. He's smiling while he's doing it. He's like, they'll never suspect a thing.
It's just...
So it's shit like that, right? Shit like that. I was posting about that video fucking 6 years ago saying, this is an example of what I'm talking about.
Complete dog meat.
Yeah. How it's going to fucking pollute and poison this community.
It always comes back to your comment. It's like, listen with your ears, not your eyes.
Yeah, you actually don't need to watch that to know that that's not real.
It's it's clearly MIDI. It doesn't even sound like a guitar. And you can't say, the guitar's in there, it's just not in the, or lower in the mix. Like,
yeah, and some people would look at that and go, yeah, but it's a music video. Like, obviously, the clip that you can see of him there is not him actually playing it.
It's not a music video.
Him pretending, it's him giving you something to watch so you can hear his music. And it's like, okay, well, I see your point. But let's not then also let's not pretend that we should pretend, because you do think that, yes, it's not him playing in the video, but you still think that is him playing in the studio. You still think that's a guitar part that he has recorded, and it's fucking not.
There is no dynamic to it, no pick noise, no variance in attack or tone.
Or rhythm. Like, it's so metronomically precise. No one is that clean.
I tell you, fucking Rick Graham would struggle to play that.
Yeah.
And that says a lot.
Yeah.
Because he's a fucking machine.
All right, let's briefly laugh about this Rex Brown situation. Obviously, I wasn't a Pantera fan. We've talked about this time and time again.
I think the big thing that puts me off Pantera are declaring that I like their music as Pantera fans. And that seems to be the running joke online. It's like, I like the music. I like Dimebag's tone because it's unique. I like a lot he's playing. I think there's a lot of good shred and a lot of good feeling in his music, even some of the stupid shit. Like, I probably shouldn't listen to it, but I like Rebel Meets Rebel, despite the fact it's David Allan Coe, who is a horrible racist, doing the vocals. There's obviously the allegations that Pantera, as we've spoke about before, had their own racist views. Don't know how true it is or not, can't quantify it, as well staying clear of it. Phil Anselmo's had his run-ins in the last few years of making himself quite obvious in his alignments, shall we say. But since Dime died, this has been something that's been floating about, and it just...
Tell me about Rita Haney.
Oh, Rockin' Rita, the sole executor of the Dimebag fucking estate. Everything. I hope I'm wrong, right? And this is my sole opinion, not based on fact, just what I've observed, is that the majority of her actions are to keep herself relevant and trade on the name of Dime and or Pantera. As horrible as that sounds, obviously, Dean had their Razorback in production just before Dime died. They then released that as some form of tribute, but then continued to really trade on his name with guitars that he never played.
Yep.
And then Rita stepped in with Dean, and I'm guessing sanctioned, maybe I'm wrong, the Dime amplification thing, which was solid state amps that were designed to sound like Dime's preferred settings, which was an old Carvin, the XE100B or something like that. He never played those amps. Like, people still get pissed off at the idea of Crank having a signature with him, even though he did play those amps. Like, and I owned one.
Yeah.
And still, like, no, man, he used solid state. Like, Dime's signal path doesn't matter. His sound was him.
Yeah.
Obviously, it does matter to some degree. All England, there's a couple of good videos where he's bought the right equipment to make a sound like him, but nobody's ever going to sound like him. And you can't replace that kind of unique talent. And what seems to be the case here is everybody has been throwing around this Pantera reunion, Pantera tribute. Zakk Wylde will play guitar for Dime because he was his closest friend, and obviously came out on stage at certain gigs like Ozfest. He comes out with two dogs. Dime gives him the guitar and he starts shredding over the top of the end of like Primal Concrete Sledge or something. And like, but as much as I love Zakk Wylde, he's not Dime.
No, he's not. He's
fundamentally different guitarists.
Yeah.
Right? And Vinnie Paul's died. Vinnie Paul wasn't not a nice person.
I'd completely forgotten that.
But a ridiculous drummer.
Yeah. The idea of Pantera going out without Dimebag is one thing, but going out without either Dime or Vinny.
I know, like the Abbotts basically made the sound, and not to disrespect or play down Phil and Rex's contributions, but maybe I'll get some hate for this. Pantera as a metal band, in my opinion, are like Queen and other bands have spoken about who they were greater than the sum of their parts. Mm-hmm. There's something magic about that band, and I think the magic about it is the journey that they all went through personally and professionally. Obviously, you go from Phil Anselmo joining the band and doing the most ridiculous falsetto and power metal, to then Cowboys from Hell, where it's all about unity and strength and looking after each other and brotherhood and just cool riffs and songs, to then just getting heavier and heavier and Phil's voice getting deeper and deeper as he went into the throes of having the reportedly, in his own words, like the worst back problems in the world, and taking heroin and becoming an addict and falling out with the band and going through his own problems, and same with the rest of the band having all their own issues. Like, those guys could party. If you've ever watched the home videos from Hell, like the Pantera home videos, like, it starts off they're all having fun and partying, but you can see they're all getting haggard with it, and then Rex Brown becoming an alcoholic, and like these guys went through the ringer. They put themselves through the ringer. But anyway, that all in itself, in my opinion, is part of what made Pantera sound like Pantera and made the band itself. So to put other people in the position, or have other people talk about what's appropriate and what's not, it bewilders me. So then, to go back to your original question, talking about Rita Haney, Rita seems to pop up every couple of months and make comments about it as if she's trying to keep Pantera and herself relevant. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's just trying to keep the legacy alive. If that's the case, okay, fair enough. But
let me give you the quote. I don't think there could be a Pantera reunion, but I think that his two remaining brothers, Rex and Philip, if they wanted to honour Daryl and Vinny, what I believe Daryl would believe let's try that again. It's what it says, but we're going to go with it. What I believe Daryl would believe, because he was the most forgiving person that I know, I believe that he would be honoured. Okay. It's kind of a cliche to say, but he truly would be grateful that he meant that much to them. And I think if they want to honour their fallen brothers with a tribute, I think that's great. But as far as trying to put Pantera back together, no. That's distasteful without those other guys. Coming from the person that constantly makes money off a dead man.
Trades off our dead boyfriend's name.
But I think as a tribute, it would be a pretty great thing, because I know from a fan's point, if I hadn't been able to see them play or hear those songs, I can imagine other people as well. I think it's great that they could at least see it performed, and by people that truly love them. So yeah, I think it would be a really cool thing. It's kind of like, it kind of makes me think maybe there's a crossover with the Journey story on this, because if these guys were to get back together and play Pantera songs and do a tribute, right? They could call it anything, okay? But the thing that's going to sell tickets is calling it Pantera.
Absolutely.
And they own
the association with that brand.
Yeah, they could call it fucking the Cowboys from Hell. They could go out and play covers and call themselves the Cowboys from Hell. But this is where we go into the legal stuff, right? If they own that trademark, if they own the legal right to perform under the name Pantera, that's what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's what Rex Brown's comment is, what he really said. So he tweeted out in response to this, since deleted the tweet, quote, "I want to make sure that people understand what I'm about to tweet. It's not up to Rita to say what will happen. Only what Philip and I say. I'm in. Dig?"
He's right. Like, Rita wasn't part of the band. Rita doesn't automatically take the 25% of responsibility for Pantera as a band, as a functioning business.
Yeah.
For all the creative input.
Yeah,
just because Dime passed away and she was the executor of his will, and
yeah, she'll
the estate.
She'll absolutely, own his publishing. So she'll get money from the performance. She'll get money from play of his music on radio. She'll get licensing and all of that.
Totally, but it doesn't mean she fills his shoes as part of a band.
She doesn't make decisions. She doesn't own the Pantera trademark. Someone owns the Pantera trademark, and I would imagine that's probably Phil Anselmo and Rex Brown. So if they want to go out and play under the name Pantera, that's what they're going to do. Whether or not I think that's tasteful is a different discussion.
Definitely.
I also probably don't think it's tasteful, but I totally understand why they would do it. I think it would be cool to see Zakk Wylde in that setting. There are some clips of Rex and Phil getting up with Black Label Society and playing like I'm Broken and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're right. Zakk is his own thing. Zakk plays like Zakk. I respect that.
Of course,
I see some people saying like, oh, if you were going to do a Pantera, you'd get someone like Ola England to do it. Ola he'd do a better job than Zakk would in terms of sounding like Dime. But there are probably better people that sound even more like Dime, but you need that middle ground of like, can do the job, has big reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And Ola, I think, fills both of those. I'd rather see Zakk, though, in that.
For personal reasons, like in terms of their relationship, I agree with you. I think he's the more appropriate, because
they were spiritual brothers.
Like they were, like those two were inseparable friends.
So yeah, that's cool. Here's a little fun aside. I had a really funny run-in with some absolute. I'm going to go with mouth breather, even though I've been sat here for an entire podcast going. I'll try and gate some of that out. We were talking about like the Ozzy Osbourne thing, and Andy Wood asked me, who was your favourite guitarist in Ozzy?
I've seen that in the chat.
Yeah. Who was your favourite guitarist in Ozzy? For Ozzy. And it's a really difficult one. I lean towards Zakk, because Zakk as a whole, unlike Randy, who only got to record 2 albums of Ozzy, he's got some Quiet Riot stuff, but primarily 2 albums that you really go to listen to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Zakk did several albums of Ozzy, and he's got all the Black Label Society stuff, and there's the Pride and Glory album, and there's so much Zakk out there.
Yep, and he also played the solo on No More Tears, so that's enough said.
Yeah, I've been able to absorb more of the things Zakk has done because there's more of it.
Yep.
So I lean towards Zakk. But in terms of Ozzy albums, like the first 2, the ones with Randy on, they are, I think, songwriting-wise, I think they are the best.
Blizzard of Oz and... don't know the other.
Diary of a Madman. Yeah. So I went.
You were going to be impressed there, weren't you?
I was going to be super impressed. Someone came in and responded and said, I used to like Zakk. Did you see this comment?
No.
Oh man, it was crazy. I shouldn't quote. This is a paraphrasing. I'll say because the words are enough. I used to like Zach until he turned into a crazy conservative KKK supporting racist bigot.
Cool. Did any citation left?
Exactly. I was like, mate, you sound like an absolute fucking idiot, right? I love Zach Wilde. I've not been huge on his music for a while, right? But there was a time when like I lived and breathed his music, lived and fucking breathed it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely no idea what his political affiliations are
He's
because they're
I've
not
never
things
heard.
that you put out. Now, all right, fair enough. He has been supportive of like the war in the Middle East. He has been, but he has a military background in his family.
The
So-
closest I've seen him putting any sort of political affiliation on anything is the fact that he had a Confederate flag Les Paul.
Yes,
That's the only thing I've seen. And
yes.
even then, I think, I mean, I agree with a lot of it that's hate, not heritage. For the most part, some people, I didn't for the longest time understand the correlations of what that flag was.
Yep.
And just thought, oh, cool, Pantera used that.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly the same as me. I made this argument before. Exactly the same as me, but not Pantera. Skinner. Like I love Skinner's
there you
music.
go.
And plus, you could look at Zach Wilde's the Rebel guitar, and you could actually try and make the argument because it's not a political statement. You could try and make the argument. Well, actually, when you look at that guitar, what Zach has done is he's nailed beer bottles for it. So is this a statement of him trying to destroy the Confederate flag?
Potentially.
Anyone that tries to read into something like that as a deep political statement, you've already missed the point. Like it's an aesthetic choice. It's part of the image. Like Zach Wilde now, he's like the super biker thing, but there was a time where he was trying to do the super southern rock thing.
Oh, when he
Playing
was
fucking
young,
cowboy
skinny,
hats
super
and-
long hair,
Yeah,
long beard.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that. But you know, if you want to call him a war maniac, like super military conservative, I imagine politically he probably does skew conservative. And I know that he's definitely a big supporter of the military. That's not unheard of in the United States. You know, they're very, very big on our troops. Fair enough. Like you can't undo that mentality. It's when you stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance every single day before class in school. You learn to, or you're brainwashed into a position where the flag is the most important thing. You serve the country, if you like, and anyone that fights and gives their lives to serve your country is the ultimate hero.
To take a step back, I wouldn't say brainwashed, I would say conditioned.
Yeah, okay.
Because brainwashed to me seems more like you've had an opinion and that's either been radicalised or you've been changed to something else.
That's fair.
Whereas I think conditioned is more like it's more appropriate because it's seen that the military-industrial complex is the backbone of America.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not propaganda, but it's certainly.
So I'm not going to criticize Zach for those positions because that is how he feels. The one that really got me is calling him both a bigot and a KKK supporter. Like those are the types of things that
Google that.
I have. You need to seriously back those things up. You need to just give me a quote where Zach Wilde has said bigoted things. Give me one. Any. I'll tell you what I'll give you. The fact that he has non-white people playing in his band.
I just see when it comes to these things, I just like writing citation needed and leave it at that.
Well, that's what I did, and initially, and he tried to come back, and then I did get a little bit snide with him, like genuinely quite like, calling. I actually
snide.
Probably worse than I normally would be because normally I'd make fun of someone's position, but in this I was outright saying, mate, when you go around spouting shit like that without being able to back any of it up, you're a piece of shit and you need to be called out for it. Yeah. And if you're going to say things like that, you have to be held accountable for the things that you're saying. Which is, I probably wouldn't have normally done that. And he did apologise and he corrected himself, but in the snidest way possible. Instead of
I can't prove it, but he is.
Well, no, instead of KKK, he went with KKK like. Yeah, exactly. Fuck off.
Who's KKK like?
Yeah.
I mean,
apparently his views are KKK like. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it.
Again, citation needed. Not saying he is or he isn't, but there is zero proof.
I know.
Or even conjecture that would let you go towards that. Like there's nothing.
I followed Zach. Like honestly, he was one of the biggest influences in my teenage years.
And that's why you got ratty.
I had the Black Label Society, the leather jacket, and I did not leave the house without that jacket on. Everywhere I went, I had that leather jacket. I had my leather cut, if you like, because I lived for Black Label Society's music. I absolutely fucking loved Black Label Society's music.
I know.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about it many times.
Yeah. I just feel that like if Zach Wilde was a KKK supporting bigot trying to spread his bigoted views, I probably would have noticed by now. I probably would have, wanted to burn crosses and shit,
I don't think Trujillo would have played in BLS for as
I
long.
know.
I don't think
I know,
he would
absolutely.
have anywhere near as many affiliations with other people as he would.
Astonishing. Okay, so let's move on from that. Pantera, yeah, don't care.
I just hope it doesn't happen.
It's Chris is a fan of the show, and he keeps tagging me in Rita Haney stuff. Like, why is this woman still talking? And it's like, you have a good question there.
Is she the new fucking Corey Taylor? What does Rita Haney think?
Exactly, yeah. The feminist Corey Taylor.
Fucking Rita. Fuck off.
Yeah, and let's close with the mashup.
Okay.
Tell us about this.
So I found this online. It's only been online for a few days. 3 days now, and it's 100,000 views.
Yeah.
Somebody posted it on Facebook, and I was just like, this is fucking tremendous. And I quite like it. So for context, I'm sure all of you know what a mashup is, but essentially it's when someone takes a couple of different songs and puts them together. The most famous ones I've seen doing the rounds on Facebook was DJ Cummerbund. If you've seen any of his videos, he'll mash up hundreds of different songs, or he'll have politicians singing songs and take the piss out of them and all that kind of thing. His are really good. But there's one here which is called James Broterhead playing Superkill.
Yeah.
Which is James Brown, Superbad, and Motorhead, Overkill.
There we go. Yeah.
And it's tremendous.
It's really, really well done. And it presents a fucking terrifying, like, when you initially posted this, I was like, why are you posting this in our little group?
And I explained
But when you explained it to me, it does raise a really fucking interesting question. Again, not a lawyer. Like, we're going down the list. This is just a law podcast from two people that aren't lawyers, right?
Well, I mean, you who takes an interest in music law and watches lawyers, and me who just sits and slabbers my fucking opinions. So, no quite, but I get what you're saying.
It's because
we always seem to be questioning where is a line drawn, what are the ethical and legal standpoints involved, and that's good. I like it.
Yeah, I'm often taking that position of like, this is the way the law works, and being very black and white about things, or at least this is the way my understanding of the law works, I should say. I'm not a lawyer. But then, of course, taking a step back and going, okay, well, we can acknowledge how the law works. Now, after that, there's room for a bigger discussion on should this be the way the law works, which is something that we can probably muddy each other's conversations with on things. It is a great mashup. It's a really good mashup. And the reason that it's fascinating is because your point that you were talking about is where you think the history of mashups, where that's going to lead. Talk to me talk to everyone a bit more about that. I
suppose my question was, and it was posed more at you because I thought you would have more a distinct answer than me. Like, where does this lie in terms of trademarking and copyright? And are we going to find that people are finding ways to avoid fair use, like genuine fair use concerns or licensing by doing these mashups? And where are we going to end up? What are we going to get to? Like, what point are we going to get to? I think it goes back to, remember we were talking about the Masked Singer, whatever the fuck it was called in Australia? We were talking about the arrangement of whatever Katy Perry song, and then someone saying, they stole my arrangement. Like, well, you don't own the song and you didn't license it.
Yeah.
Again, like, I mean, that, for all intents and purposes, the only thing really that's in that is the same as the lyrics.
Yep.
And I don't think any of the melody was the same, was it? Was it just the chords they changed? I don't remember. Anyway,
I don't remember.
It's one of those ones where it's like, it's a fucking grey area. It's not the same song, but it has parts of the original song that can clearly be questioned.
Right, so it's super, super interesting to me because being a YouTuber, fair use is something I deal with all the time.
Yes, and that's why I thought you would enjoy it.
Trying to deal with all the time, right? So I can use clips of things in videos and then add comment and criticism to it, because that's protected by my free speech. Well, under US law, even though I'm not in the US, but I'm protected to do that as long as what I'm doing with the thing is transformative and it's not usurping the market for the original.
Yes.
So, and actually we've seen this in the news just recently. Sargon of Akkad and Akila Hughes, Akila obviously, she sued him for taking an 8-minute video of hers and reducing it down to 2 minutes.
Did we talk about this a few episodes ago?
I don't know if it came up, but
it's a woman standing in an office or a flat, somewhere like in a high rise, and she's saying like, I don't fucking care, but I need to protect myself. Is that right?
No.
No? Am I tripping?
Akila, big Hillary Clinton supporter. She was at the event as press when it was found out that Hillary hadn't won, and she did this 9-minute documentary on the course of the night, and it covered the start of the video, her absolute certainty that Hillary Clinton was going to win, and then moving towards the depression when she realised that it wasn't, and then the footage afterwards of her talking about, this is the most depressing time in my life. I've never been as miserable as this, but it's okay because thankfully I live in New York and we're surrounded by people that won't stand for this. We've got to stand up and fight. Cool, that's your video, absolutely fine. Sargon took that video and edited it down into 2 minutes of like a supercut of it, if you like, demonstrating how quickly you can go from that, like, I'm so at the arrogant position of confidence, like we've got this nailed, and then being so unbelievably intolerant to people with different beliefs. He uploaded that. He didn't speak over it, no commentary whatsoever, but the title of the video was something along the lines of a study of SJW self-awareness or something to that, like SJW.
So just basically prodding the bear.
Yeah, and he won that in the US court. It was absolutely classed as free speech because her point is you're not making any commentary on my video, and his lawyer's point is you're absolutely making commentary on the video. It might be using a large portion of your content, right? But the title alone is commentary. He's satirizing you and your political beliefs, and that was upheld by a US judge. So that's kind of a bit of a legal precedent. Fair use is a tricky beast. It's a very, very tricky beast.
I think it's always going to come down to the specific case and the lawyers and the judge.
Yeah.
Unless there's been one that's exactly the same or at least similar enough you can say this is the precedent set.
It's fascinating to me that music is so different because...
Have I told you at the time that somebody asked me in Magnum Sound, how is there so many songs? And I almost had a mental breakdown.
No?
Sorry to totally go on
a
tangent here, right? When I worked in the music shop, there was a guy came in and he'd brought a guitar in and he was like, I want to get this restrung. I tried to learn to play guitar a few months ago and I fell away from it, and this has kind of been on and off for a few years now, and I've just decided I'm going to do it, right? So it's like, cool, great, that's really good, I'm glad to hear that. Like it's difficult when you start because there's that, maybe you're the same experience, maybe even more so considering you've taught. I've never taught anyone guitar. The first 6 months to a year of learning guitar, nothing makes sense, nothing clicks, and then for me it was like everything made sense one day.
Yeah.
But not everything. It's not like I was like fucking, oh great, I'm a savant now.
You are, but okay.
Thanks. But I went from not getting it to like just like a pattern or a system emerged in my brain of like, right, cool, I can work this out. And I think that was just as much me as it was playing guitar. Anyway, I think you see that in people, and this guy had basically explained to me that he was trying to learn, and I'd say that to him, like, it takes time. You need to get to that stage where things click and you start getting momentum, and you'll be like, oh cool, I can play this riff or this song, and you start to build it up for there, and it all goes, and everything you do just builds onto the foundation of what's going to come next and what's going to come next, and you just keep going. And he's like to me, but I just don't get it. I mean, I think of myself as quite intelligent. I'm always putting in for things at Open University, and I've got 5 degrees, I've actually got a doctorate and blah blah blah, and I've done this, but I just, with music, I don't get it. And he went, how's there so many songs, right? And I was like, how do you answer that?
Some people aren't cut out for music, and that person is...
See this, right? It was like a pyramid of how's there so many songs was the first question at the very top, right? And it was like, right, cool. Well, there's so many songs because there's quite a lot of different chord progressions, right? Well, chord progressions needs to go to notes. All right, cool. What's the feel of the music? Is it minor or major? Oh, wait a minute, you've got the modes to include, but then you've also got microtonal music, which is Indian background heritage and other stuff on top of that. And then freeform and avant-garde, and my brain just went into this like crystallization, and it was like watching a fractal zoom in constantly, and I was like, where do you start on this? Because it could be basically saying
you say 5 degrees.
So he was saying, like, this is what he told me.
That tells you everything you need to know about it. This is a person that's understanding of the world is based on the idea that knowledge is something that can be acquired, and if you learn enough about something, you'll understand how it functions, how it works, and that ignores the fact that music is art, and therefore there's not knowledge. It's about creativity,
but there's function to it as well.
Well, that's knowledge that you're using after, like music theory is what happens after the fact to describe why something worked.
Well, applying it the other way around, I don't know if we spoke about this last time, but I certainly linked into the article that the people who had created the algorithm.
Yes, we didn't.
We kind of it basically
It came up because it was Adam Neely did the video talking about it. He didn't do the actual thing.
Right.
And that ties in with the Katy Perry lawsuit, which I'll be referencing when talking about
cool.
this.
Well, just for context for everybody else, what happened was two music scientists. Is that a fair way to put it?
Musicians and IT experts.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I'm going to say music scientists, right?
I like that.
Anyway, they got pissed off with this constant fucking back and forth and fair use policy. As Levi mentioned, that the last one we spoke about was Katy Perry and the rapper, and it was literally just a motif. Was it like dun 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 dun?
It was dun 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 dun.
That's right. So you're
Or
fucking
was that?
4 notes over what, 8 beats?
Yeah.
Right? Like, fuck off. As simple as that, right? That's my opinion on it. But apparently this was something that could be upheld, right? So these two music scientists, right, fucking valiant effort, decided to write an algorithm that then produced every single motif available ever and trademarked that so it could never ever be put under question.
Yeah. Put it onto a hard drive. I have seen some interesting legal follow-ups on that from lawyers.
Obviously, this is going to be disputed left, right, and centre, and
Yeah.
I love that all they've done, whether they've achieved their goal or not, is at least opened the discourse on it.
And
of
they were
how
clear about that.
ridiculous is
Yeah,
this?
with the Adam Neely thing, they were very clear in the Adam Neely video that this isn't. We're not actually trying to copyright the music like this. We're trying to get a discussion going on how
Yes.
ridiculous a notion this
Yes.
is. So when I see like Leonard French, who's a great YouTube lawyer, talking about it and like explaining why none of this will be upheld, like he knew, he made the point at the end. Like obviously, I know that wasn't the point, but I thought I'd talk about it from a legal perspective. That was super interesting. And as I say, with the Katy Perry lawsuit, like it's a small motif. It's a small melodic idea. And that was held up in law. And we have a history in music of like sampling came about, or sampling certainly became popular with the rise of hip hop. That was when like these hip hop artists would take bits off of records and they'd loop them and then use those as essentially what we would now use a drum machine for, right? That was
Well, yeah, but even it's not just hip hop though. Like think about, and this is, I think, for the last couple of years, I didn't realise it. The Prodigy have sampled everything in their music. There's almost no original ideas in there on top of the samples.
Sure.
And it's great because like that must be fair use. There's a drum beat from a song with a drum break that you would never know it came for that.
Yep.
Here's a melody that we've pitch shifted and cut up, and well, that's sampled, but it's still different.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, sure. I'm
So
still
hip hop.
I'm still gonna say hip hop though, because
That's where it started. You're right.
Hip hop goes sampling chic songs and things like that. Like you hear a lot of that on those early records. And when that
Daft
happened,
Punk as well. They were pretty good for it.
any time something like that, like a dramatic change in the music industry happens like that, like we had with downloading of music and the popularization of guitar tablature and the way you can download that for free. Like, oh no, like every time something like that happens, the music industry needs to look at it and go, right, what are we going to do about this? How will this work moving forward?
Yep.
Because 100 years, the idea of somebody being able to take your composition and then use that as a bedrock on which you will build your own composition. Well, actually, that was relatively common in classical music. They would borrow each other's melodies and like, but an actual recorded thing, which is owned by a record label, was needed to be dealt with. So it was dealt with. We talked about what the legal ramifications of this were, and what we ended up collectively agreeing on is that the person whose music you've sampled has credit. They get writing credit on the song because without their composition, your composition didn't exist. And there are tons of great examples of that. We talked about the Police, the Every Breath You Take thing. That's what that song's called, isn't it?
Yep.
And
R.
the
Kelly?
fact that
Was it R. Kelly?
Coolio.
No, it's not Coolio. It's Sean Combs, Puff Daddy.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, you are right. So yeah, that's like a wonderfully famous example because that intro guitar part, Andy Summers played it on guitar, but Sting owns the song.
Yep.
There's no bass in that part. It's literally just Andy Summers playing the guitar, a riff that he wrote, but Sting owns the song. And that intro guitar riff was sampled, and Sting gets paid every time that sample is used. That's the way that works.
Yeah.
So legally speaking,
another good case to put up to Vanilla Ice and Queen, Under Pressure.
Yep. Or Kanye and Daft Punk, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. Yeah, it happens a lot. And like, there's very rarely is there something massively untoward going on in it. Like in all these cases, the music has been licensed.
The Vanilla Ice one wasn't. That was, I mentioned it.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
but okay. So in those wonderful instances where they aren't licensed, music publishers and record labels love it when that happens because well then you're still getting your money. You are getting your fucking money, but at this point you don't get to negotiate how much you're going to pay for the license. You will be paying what we tell you you'll be paying, type thing, or we will take you for everything you've got.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that that's the case, knowing that that's how ownership of music, ownership of recordings works in music, how are mashups a thing? How am I? Because the thing with fair use and like the Aquila Sargon thing, or the tons of like the what's their name? The Ethan Klein, Ethan and Ela, whatever their big YouTube channel is. They had a massive Matt Hoss, the lawsuit with those guys over fair use for using clips of his video. Right, for fair use to be fair use, you can't usurp the original.
Correct.
And your work has to be transformative.
So this is, in my opinion, this example is transformative because you're not taking James Brown fans away from listening to Superbad.
Yep.
Because the appeal of that is that it's James Brown and Motorhead.
Yep.
And the same for Motorhead fans. They're not going, I want to listen to Overkill, so I'm going to watch this video because it's Overkill. No, it's not. It's
Sure.
James Brown and Overkill. So that's how, in my mind, that's a fair use.
This is where the struggle is for me because I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you.
And as you discovered, it's been licensed as well.
Well, that would have been automatically via YouTube.
But that's good though.
Well,
surely that's a system that helps.
Yes, well, it's only licensed the James Brown part of it rather than the Motorhead part of it. So, and this because it's UMG, like
that'd be
Untitled
automatic.
Chapter, they are.
There.
Yeah, that just happens like that before the video even gets uploaded. It detects it when in the upload stage. So I agree with you. I look at this and I'm like, well, this doesn't usurp the market for the original, and it's certainly transformative.
Totally.
It's absolutely transformative.
You should look up the DJ Cummerbund ones.
But it's still.
Are you going to play some for people?
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
What? Oh, fair enough. That's licensed.
Yeah, because that was automatic. And the last thing we want is to be pulled off Spotify. So,
fair.
Yeah, like totally. I look at this and I go, well, surely this is fair use. But then every part of my musical being says, no, it isn't. It can't be because all the rap things that we're talking about there aren't fair use, and they use significantly less. They are considerably more transformative, and they usurp the original market even fucking less than the original.
Yeah,
so this one, I would look at and say is less fair than say Gangsta's Paradise. Hang on, is that the one that uses that riff?
I don't know.
What is the fucking song that uses the police thing?
Puff Daddy, Every Breath You Take is the song. Fucking, I don't remember what song. It's about Puff Daddy dying. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't think of what the
Notorious
song's
B.I.G. Who cares? It's shite. It's really, really bad.
I like it.
No, you don't. Listen to verse 2 again and be like, oh, he's a really good wordsmith. He's a great lyricist.
I heard it a lot when I was growing up, so it's not necessarily that I like it, but
you know
it's
what?
Certainly nostalgic.
It sticks with you in the same sense that 2 Can Play That Game, which was also sampled. It's out of tune, it's completely different, wrong key, and it still sticks in your brain, and you hear those 2 piano chords and him going, 2 can play that game, girlfriend, and you're like, that's not anywhere near the right key when it comes into the verse. Da, 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 but still miles away.
Yeah.
But nostalgia.
Yeah, it works.
Early influence has broken your brain to that one.
We just look at those and we're like, well, surely they're more fair than this, but on a legal front, they're not. They are absolutely always licensed, and there is a lot of legal precedent surrounding the licensing of that. So I have to look at this and I go, well, the fact that this has been claimed by Universal absolutely makes sense because they do own some of the music that's in it. At the same time, I'm not sure who publishes and owns the recordings for Motorhead, but someone else owns that. This is that old YouTube thing when YouTube started that people used to think that, well, if I put, credit in the comment section, that it's not copyright infringement. Or if I say
I don't own the rights or responsibilities to this music or the trademark.
Yeah.
Doesn't change the fact that you uploaded it, cunt.
Exactly.
Excuse my language.
This becomes even more problematic to me though when he's included a donate button and he's included a download link to the music. The fact that this has been claimed by UMG automatically is the best saving grace that this person could ever ask for, because if they did this manually and saw that this was here and saw a donate link and a download link, you would be getting a lawsuit coming your way. So where do I see mashups? I think this was the question you were asking me.
Why though? Because the download link is free. A donation is literally just a donation.
Yep.
They're not charging anyone money for someone else's creation.
So when you even if you do a cover of a song or whatever and you give it away for free, it still needs to be paid for and licensed. So you still have to license it based on the amount of downloads that you expect to be given away.
That makes fair sense. Okay,
yeah.
right.
And I think from a legal perspective, any lawyer would say, why are you asking people to donate to you for? Like, what are they donating? They're donating for
to fund that person's creative outlet.
Yeah.
And give them incentive.
Yep.
To make more videos that they don't make money from directly, that can be claimed by the respective correct parties.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to take anything away from this content creator. Like, it's extremely creative.
I love that stuff.
It's done really, really well. It works really well. But yeah, it wouldn't exist with the original, and therefore, the originals, the performers on the original are still technically the performers on this. So like, literally, there's more technology gone into this and creative vision rather than performance ability. Like, the guys who started this has not really performed anything on it.
Oh, totally.
But so to speculate, to answer the question of where I think mashups will go in the future, where this will head,
Skynet will become self-aware and write some songs of its own.
I think if there's one thing that we know about the music industry, they will work out a way to stop this from being a thing. Or to certainly make sure that they are the ones monetizing it, because that's what the music industry has always done. I don't think that's what should happen. I think everything that you just said there, where you're talking about, he's been incredibly creative with this, and he's brought interest back to these old songs, and it will probably drive up the listens that those old songs get. And more importantly, the record labels and publishers will be getting money for the fact that this mashup exists.
Yep, it doesn't use up the original because they'll still be making money from the licensing of this version.
Yeah,
at least James Brown and whoever the fuck it was, UMG or whoever.
I feel like stuff like this should be encouraged, but as long as we're encouraging it, but not trying to twist the law in a way that would make, what's this guy's name? Bill McClintock? Not twisting the law in a way that would make Bill the owner of this.
No, but he's not.
Yeah. But some people would absolutely make the argument that he should be. Not us.
No, I don't think they would. I think if you went back to the case we were talking about with the Masked Singer, maybe that, because they've wrote an entirely different chord progression around the song and different arrangement in terms of the drums and whatever else. Like, the feel of the music's different, right? That part of it, I can maybe see why they would think they've got a claim. Well, we wrote this round the music, we've reharmonised it, we've reworked the song. You're doing the same as what a producer would do if I brought a song into the studio and you were like, we'll try it like this.
Yep.
But obviously in an unofficial capacity. I'm not saying they have the right,
sure,
but that certainly has more of an argument of some form of creative input, I think, than putting vocals from one song over another that it fits quite well.
But the only thing I guess I was trying to say is that there will be people that will argue that he should own this, and there will be people that argue. I remember dealing with some people, some like hyper, mega, ultra fringe libertarians that don't believe in ownership of things, and that copyright is a null concept and shouldn't exist, and everything exists in the public domain, and all information should be shared.
So I can beat them up and there's no recourse because technically they don't have any rights to not be beaten up?
No, it's ownership of ideas is their concept.
Oh, just ideas?
Nobody can own ideas. Nobody should be able to own ideas. There should be no such thing as intellectual property. Intellectual property doesn't exist.
I think if you think that way, it's probably because you don't have a lot of original thought, and not to be a horrible person, but like...
Do you want to know something absolutely horrifying? When I was having a conversation with this guy, he was in the middle of writing a book for a publisher.
So does he think the publisher's going to give it away and he's not entitled?
Exactly.
Is he doing it for free?
Exactly. No, absolutely monetizing it, but would be more than okay if people wanted to pirate it and share it and do whatever they wanted with it.
So what he actually means is, as long as I get some financial gain that meets the target I want, I don't care if the publisher doesn't make money?
I don't think he even cared if you made financial gain. I think we're talking like ultra hippie, like...
Then why is he going to a publisher?
Great question.
Why are you greasing the wheel of capitalism if you're talking about libertarianism?
I know.
To the extreme point of information should be free. Like,
yeah.
Do you think when they publish that it becomes public domain and that's it? No, they own the rights to publish it.
He knows that they don't, but he feels that it should. So I say he as though it's a person. I've dealt with multiple people like this. There are some...
I don't like.
I was going to say some mad people out there, but I should probably say there are some people out there with some interesting beliefs.
I was just going to say the same thing. I don't mean to like disenfranchise or put people off having these opinions. That's fair. But to go back to fucking previous conversations, it doesn't mean they shouldn't be criticised.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else to add?
No, not really, to be honest.
I'm just trying to wrap us up because we've gone for 2.5 hours, and these poor people that are listening to us probably want to go do something more productive with their days.
Nah, I don't think so. I think they've had a good time.
Good.
Thanks for sticking out the 2.5 hours if you made it to this point, whether it was in one sitting
Yeah, I
or
was going to
more.
say probably two settings.
That's it. What I would like to say actually is two things. First of all, I'm glad that yesterday's fiasco / mishap didn't stop us having good content. I think people will still enjoy it, which is good. If you did enjoy it, please let us know. If you didn't enjoy it, please let us know. If you hate us, please let us know. If you love us,
Oh,
please
they
let
always
us know.
do.
Exactly. If you really want to show how much you hate / love us, buy some merchandise, take some photos with it, whether it's you throwing it in the bin or wearing it proudly or putting it on your dog. I don't know.
Giving a piece to Rob at a meet and greet.
Aye, that's it. Like, help us out because
Sign my Guitar Soul shirt.
I'm going to jail soon. No, I'm only kidding. It's nothing like that. But I did walk in the front door and Levi's like, were you in the docket?
Yeah, like it's one of those things, like there will come a point where you're going to have to fill people in on stuff going on in your life because you keep talking about, there's been a long time where you talk about work and then you talk about, oh, you know, stuff happening with work and like other things and like I'm busy with this, that and the other and I had an appointment, I've got this interview for this, that and the other and then now you're wearing suits and shit. Like people are going to start speculating that you've like, I don't know, murdered someone at work.
Right. I started watching Power and I decided that I want to become an agent. So I've started wearing suits and being really nosy about other people's business. Levi is like the Eminem style character in Power. He's like my enforcer, basically my street soldier. So what I've been signing is dogs barking in the street. And I've been trademarking that because then whenever a dog barks, depending on what breed it is, obviously, then I make money for the copyright there. So, I mean, if only I'd done it when HMV were in business, you know what I mean? You've got a dog in your logo? Fuck you.
It's hilarious when you say that, though, because when you say that, and we think back to like having talked about Gene Simmons and the sheer amount of things that he's tried to trademark, you can't help...
Fuck you, Gene. Look, fuck you.
You can't help but think, though, that like when you look at Gene Simmons being absolutely ridiculous with it, that my pal that is against the idea of intellectual property rights might have a point.
Is it?
That's it. I'm full on libertarian. I mean, I'm
no, you're not
very libertarian, but
you're not full on libertarian.
I'm not.
You wouldn't let someone come in here and take your stuff.
That is true. I'm a massive hypocrite. So yeah.
You're not a hypocrite. Yeah. But there's boundaries to where ideologies fall.
Yes.
On certain things.
Yes. Well, is that? To be honest, I'm not all that up on anarchism.
I'm really good at keeping these going.
I know. Is that not more anarchism? But we won't talk politics.
Because anarchism is more a self-policing idea. It's not centralised power. It's belief that people can police themselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Surely. It's a non-centralised power.
But so if somebody wanted to come in and take my stuff, it's not that I'd allow them to do it, but it's that outside of explaining to them why they couldn't do that or stopping them from doing that, like there wouldn't be a centralised legal system or police agency that would stop that from happening, type thing.
And anarchy,
yeah,
correct. But you would probably go outside and be like, neighbours, someone's stealing from me, and they would all come and kick the shit out of them.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's just, you see that in a lot of small communities that are not modern. I think is probably the best way to put it. Not in a nasty way, but like maybe don't fit into the Western 21st century view.
You're talking about the Amish.
Them too, like, but no, I'm being serious though. Yeah. Like also like tribes and different places, etc.
I see what you mean.
Right. Anyway, the second point I was trying to make before Levi decided to go off on another crazy rant is that the good news and bad news about this. I should probably say this at the start. Levi and I had the pleasure of going to see Thank You Scientist last weekend, right, and to hang about with Tom Monda, guitarist who is just something else. Not only one of the nicest people I've ever met, but having watched them play live is just something else. The full band are, being totally honest. Great show, had a great time. But the plan was to have him as a special guest. Now, the bad news is that didn't happen, clearly, as he's not here. Maybe we could Photoshop him in.
A cardboard cutout.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't happen for logistical reasons on my side as well as his. The guys were in tour. Glasgow was their last date. They didn't get to Glasgow till about 4 p.m. Is that right? 3 or 4? Yeah. And I think they were supposed to be there for about noon. Yeah. So the idea was we would go meet Tom and bring him back here and do an episode here. The other factor was I was coming back from Vienna with the band and had a complete shitmare. It's probably the only way to describe it. And I explained what happened in the long lost recording that happened yesterday. But long story short, fuck airlines. Fuck them, right? So I was supposed to get back to Edinburgh from Vienna from 2 flights. We left at 4 a.m. I was supposed to get back for 11. So I would have been back in Glasgow and where Levi and I stay for about noon, which would have been perfect. I did not get back to home soil Edinburgh till 4. So by the time I got into Glasgow, the guys were already in the venue, sound checking, etc. So we had a great time. We hung with those guys. Almost half the band from Thank You Scientist had really bad diarrhea, which was announced on stage by Sal. Thanks very much. But the good news is that Tom is super up for doing an episode with us, whether that be through Skype or whatever.
Well, he's certainly not going to fly out for it, and we're probably not going to go to New York to do it. So,
you never know.
Made of money, are we?
I'm not. Fucking.
I mean, you say that you're currently wearing a suit, and I'm wearing a shirt that I've probably worn in 25% of the episodes that we've done.
I tell you, what's on your desk is more than's in my bank.
Okay, all right. Oh, dear.
There's
Okay.
There's a sobering thought for you.
Wow. Okay. On that note, kind of
give me money. That's the note here. I'm monetizing my position. Feed me, clothe me, warm me, hug me, embrace me. No, it's not that bad.
This show has been brought to you by Ormsby Guitars. If you are unfamiliar with Ormsby and what they do, I would recommend you head on over to ormsbyguitars.com. Absolutely wonderful instruments made out of Australia by Perry Ormsby. You know, they focus on a lot of really interesting things, probably most notably the multi-scale thing. You can see a couple of them hanging behind my head. I am a big fan of the Goliath series. Having said that, I've also almost ordered myself a Hype over the years, and I think the thing that Ormsby do that, well, lots of companies have dabbled in, but they do a great job of it, is these runs of builds. You can go on their website now, check out the pre-order section of their website, and you will see a series of upcoming runs of guitar. You can get in on those with prepayment plans and really get yourself a nice, well-built instrument for an unbelievable price. So thanks to Ormsby Guitars for supporting the show. Go and check them out and let them know that we sent you. Thanks very much. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The end of our longest episode yet. Thank you so much for your love and support. As Mike has said, if you want to check out our Guitar Souls shirt store, we have a merchandise store. It is in the description, teespring.com/Guitar Souls, I think. That might be it. I've just made an assumption there. It sounds about right.
I trusted your instinct.
That would...
And the worst comes to worst, I don't imagine many other people are using the term Guitar Soul online. True. So I think we'll probably get a good hit. We should probably be okay. So yeah, thank you very much. We will catch you for another episode at some point in the next couple of weeks. But until then, Mike? Bye, fuckers.